I knew there was everybody. Welcome. It's Lois and me. Sorry we're a little late. We've had a wonderful chat so far. We've been catching up. We'll try not to go back over everything.
Okay.
But Lois does have a really compelling story about what led her to where she is today. I'm going to have her recap a little bit. And let's just kind of take it from there, Lois. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. So my story starts with my first career was a respiratory therapist. And so I was working in the hospital with the entire wealth of patients from newborns to people passing at the end of their lives. My second career was as a mother, and as also, sadly, it wasn't a career, but it was a big chapter of my life as being a person that had a chronic illness. And then in 2011, I stepped into the career as the founder of Quantum Balance Erie, where I'm a certified life coach, an energy healer. I'm also a wedding officiant, which I love that part of my job. But before you and I were chatting there, you asked how I got into this, how we met, those kind of things. And
Yes.
so I like to say that my life story is what I call, and it's the word is ineffable, which means unexplainable. We can't really define it, but I know that it's true to me. So a lot of things in my life have happened where I can't explain it, and I don't need to know. But
Ooh, did you hear all that?
is that hail?
Yes, holy moly.
Oh.
Maybe Lindsay
I
does.
knew it got really dark, but I hope that the hail doesn't hit too hard.
All right, let's keep going.
So, what had happened is after I gave birth to my third child, my body started attacking itself, something called an autoimmune disorder. And it took 18 months to be diagnosed, but it was something that was very rare. It was attacking my brain and my spinal cord. And over a period of 15 years, it was up and down, but at the end, in 2006, I had been bedridden and in a wheelchair for over a year at that point. And in December 6th of '06, I remember it, my husband pushed me into the specialist's office in the wheelchair, and the specialist looked me in the face and said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing more we can do for you. You only have months left to live." Now, he wasn't wrong. No one ever wants to get that news. It was shocking to me. It was devastating. But something happened that day that's ineffable. I can't explain it. But I heard a voice say, "You're not done yet." It wasn't the doctor's voice. It wasn't my husband's. I didn't think it. I heard it. And that voice has shown up at some really critical times in my life, including um, when I was told by that voice that I'm going to open a business, which happened in 2011. So,
Oh, okay.
but what I think happened that day, could it be a miracle? I'm not sure. Could it be that I took my power back that day? That I'm sure of. Because it gave me the courage to try something different. And that's how I ended up with in the holistic area, the holistic field, is because I used it myself to get my health back, to get strong. And then here I am helping other people using complementary methods of healing.
13 years later. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. And I can only imagine how many clients that you've worked with throughout the years. And quantum balance itself, how did you get that name? What does that mean?
Well, it's part of that ineffable. So I've heard that voice a few times, that voice that said, "You're not done yet." I heard at my father's critical care bedside. And I had a miraculous thing happen there. My dad was not expected to live. He is still alive. He turns 89 on Friday.
Wow.
And then I was
Yay.
after he got out of the hospital and select specialty and all of that, which is a whole story in itself, which is beautiful and unexpected. I was driving down the road and I heard that voice again that said, "You're going to open a business." Wait a minute here. I never thought of that. That wasn't ever in my wheelhouse. And I'm recognizing this voice, and I heard it will be called Quantum Balance Erie. And I also heard you will help people heal themselves from the inside out. And so that's how that started. But quantum balancing to me is quantum, is both the macro and the micro. And balance, I think we need balance in all parts of our life. Mm-hmm. There's not just one way to do things. There's not, if so, water is healthy, right? But if we drink 2 gallons of water a day, we're going to be sick. Mm-hmm. That's not balanced. Same thing with exercise. Exercise, movement is great, but not if we do it on an injury because we are so focused on the movement, we're not paying attention to our body. So there are so many places that we don't even recognize we're out of balance.
I think the word listening again, right? There's listening, there's a balance in listening. There's a balance of listening to yourself when you feel like you need to do something, but there's also, you can't always listen to what everybody else says. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So there's, like you said, there's balance in everything, and every day it's different. Right. And it's knowing, I think that deep listening helps you to know what your baseline is, to know where the balance can occur. Right. And I think that's, from knowing you and working with you, I think that's what you help your clients to realize, how to be comfortable in the silence and to listen, and to filter through the noise of things. Is that a correct statement as to some of the work that you do?
And that is really true. The symbol that comes to me when you're talking about that and talking about balance is the yin yang symbol. Because mm-hmm. I also teach Qigong. I also base some of my work on traditional Chinese medicine. And the yin yang, we can probably picture it in our minds. And it's light and dark, right? There's a balance between the two. But most people don't recognize that there's a bit of dark in the light and a bit of light in the dark. And so it's, again, I think maybe this was before we came on live. We were chatting. And that is... life is both and. It's not either or, black or white. When we find that middle ground, living life on a spectrum of figuring out what's right for us, where does that fit in my life? I think I forgot the question. But
yes, was that a true statement about your work and how you help people?
Yes. That is a true statement. So interesting that you've said deep listening twice, because that is in part of my notes. And that is, there is more healing done in the work that I do just by listening. People need to be heard deeply and not judged and not tried to be fixed and not try to, their story is their story. And there is so much healing in just that. If I could count how many times I've heard, I've never told anyone this before. It happens over and over, and people leave unburdened. It's so amazing that people hold things that, if only someone knew this about me. And it crushes our spirit. Mm-hmm. Just getting it out to the light can be so healing.
Even some of the things that we think are shameful or mm-hmm. guilty, or why do I think this way about this situation or this person, but then when you speak it, right, it can come out. And I say this myself, like a lot of times I think people can hear what I'm thinking in my head, right? And they're not. But then when I do let it out, or I do talk to a confidant about some of the things that are going on, there's just this lightness that comes to it, right? And it never Absolutely. Seems as bad as it can be if it's just sitting in the back of my brain, right? Yep. Yeah.
I described it like, if you think about our thoughts that we keep in our head, whether there are our beliefs, whether there are judgments on ourselves, and we don't share them with anybody, they're just going around and around and around and around. I provide a safe off-ramp for people. and we just let them out and just give them the light of day and give them a space to breathe those thoughts. And often people are surprised, like you said, you're surprised by, wow, that's not even what I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of times you can talk through it too, right? And find the source and, oh, now I understand why I was thinking that way. And then it can, right, you can work through it in a different way. And I think that takes me to another question as far as, a lot of that sounds like confessional, right? In a religious aspect, a
Sure.
little bit, right? What do you find? Have you ever had any issues with drawbacks, or I don't know how to say it. Anybody coming at you from those types of different views, you know what I mean? Like, what would you say the basis of your, I don't know. Do you know where I'm going?
So interestingly enough, that was early on, especially a big concern of mine. What are
Right.
people going to think? What are people going to say? Because I was raised in a religious upbringing.
Mhm.
And, you know, some of the work that I'm doing is really and honestly and truly divine
Mhm.
life force energy.
Mhm.
It's not mine. And people can define that for what it is. But honestly, I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of energy protection of myself in all of my years, in all of my I have seen thousands of clients over these years and helped them. I've only had two people that were beyond skeptical and looking to cause trouble. But
Mhm.
interestingly enough, it certainly wasn't a whole session. They kind of burned themselves out really quickly when they realized they weren't going to get to me. And also, we're just not going to fit.
Mhm. Mhm.
Did that? Yeah,
Yes, yeah. It's and I feel the same way even with my work as far as massage and stuff. That at first it takes a while to get grounded in your own work,
yes,
right? And to
yes,
build that confidence and to repeatedly have successes
yes,
to be able to come back and be like, well, if I'm not the fit for you, that's fine as well. But I am helping
sure.
many people who this is a fit for.
Hmm.
So, and there are so many different people living so many different lives out
Yep.
there that you can find your people that need the help that they need.
And they end up finding me, which I find is amazing. And I think about this often is I'm always working myself out of a job because the way that I work with people is 3 to 6 sessions normally, and maybe a tune in or a tune up from time to time. So some people, you hope to work with a massage client their whole lifetime, right? Over and over. Heather, did you freeze? I think I lost Heather. Maybe we lost me. I'm not sure. Um, okay, so I'll just keep talking. So I work with people 3 to 6 sessions. And with that, um, hopefully we have made big progress and they move on and go ahead and live their life. I'm not sure. I've lost my connection to Heather. Okay. That's okay.
I'm kicking that. Let's try that.
Okay.
I lost the internet.
Oh boy.
I hear it's on computers now.
I've heard that. So, uh, so
Sorry.
I feel like, this is an opportunity to say, I things happen in life. It's what we do with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't control any of that. We didn't cause it, but did we stay cool? Maybe.
You don't know. You don't see me back in the
You won't know
background.
until we look back and I'm sitting here talking to myself saying, where's Heather? I don't know what happened. Did you freeze? I'm going to keep talking. Okay, I don't know what to say.
Oh, that's okay. But you know what, though? That's the way, like you said, business and life goes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So all the unexpected, you don't know all the curse words I've been saying in the background here, but there have been plenty. That's for sure.
Okay.
Oh, Lois, where were we at? I don't even remember now. Let's do this. Can you tell me about an unexpected success story? Somebody that may have came in a little skeptical, that you found that you helped, or that you became, that you've helped along the way.
Sure. So it's a fairly recent story and still in progress. Um, uh, a woman came to me and she had a long history of being unwell for many, many reasons, a very, very difficult upbringing, um, and had tried therapy. It wasn't working. And this is why I say complementary. We do this along with.
Mm-hmm.
And had been diagnosed with a mental health condition. Um, and at that point wasn't currently taking meds, wasn't currently taking care of herself, had zero support system, zero. And what I heard from her was, this is my last straw. I don't know what else to do. I've tried it all. I don't like anything. And so I felt really compelled to engage deeply with this woman and become not only her coach and her energy practitioner, but also a mentor in sorts. She didn't have a mom, um, and what has happened is in the months that we've worked together. Now this is a different situation. This is in outside of my usual 3 to 6 sessions with people. We've seen each other frequently, but she is now following doctor's orders. She's taking care of some medical things that she had been intentionally not following up on because she was frightened. Therapy is outside of my wheelhouse, and so she is now seeing a wonderful therapist that I helped her find, and her life has absolutely wonderfully changed. And I think what it is, it's just knowing that somebody cares, knowing that somebody's there for support, knowing that somebody will listen and believe what she has to say. I think I'm not here to blast the medical system, but, we think about how long do you get with a doctor? 10 minutes, right? And they're only going to focus on one part of you. I look at the whole picture. Mm-hmm. I look at what's going on. How did we get here? Where are we going?
Mm-hmm. I find that true, even with massage, when people come in with pain points, even though we look at the body as a whole, like they'll say that they told the doctor about it, but the doctor never touches them.
Yep.
Like, hey, I hurt here. They don't go, oh, well, let's see what's going on there.
Right.
Like how just practical does that make sense? And when people come to me and they go, hey, I hurt here, and I touch it and I go, oh, well, yeah, you should be hurting there because it's hard as a rock. Just that simple validation, right?
Yep.
Oh, I'm not crazy. Yeah.
Right. And I do that with emotions and with life experiences. Of course you're hurting. Let's look at all of these things. And so it's very similar,
Yep.
Our bodies store emotions, our energy fields store emotions. validation and listening, reflecting back to what they're saying. So I heard you say this.
Yeah. Yep. It makes a huge, huge difference.
Absolutely.
So what are all the different services that you do offer? And then if you can explain what those sessions look like, because you've
Sure.
some of your things are like, you're kind of etherical anyways. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got a few things going on and I don't know exactly what they are. So tell us about all that.
Okay. Well, I offer what are called quantum balance coaching sessions. What that is it opens up 90 minutes on my calendar. You get 90 minutes with me. And I like to look at my services as on a sliding woo scale. We know what woo means, spiritual. And so some people want no spiritual anything. They don't want any energy work. That's okay. We can do strictly coaching. We can do a lot with that. Some people only want energy things. That's on the other end of the sliding woo scale. And we do Reiki or pranic healing or emotion code. But most people want some combination. So a quantum balance coaching session, you're likely going to get some coaching, which is going to be listening, perhaps some redirection. You probably will get a little bit of energy work with your permission. One of the things I adore energy work that not many people are doing. I'm not sure of any other practitioners in Erie. In my arena, there are a few therapists. It's called the emotion code. So the emotion code is the idea that emotions are energy and they can get stuck in our body. And not every emotion that's stuck in our body was a big, bad, terrible, horrible thing. We can have small things that were not even considered stuck in our body. And so we identify them, we visualize about them, we imagine them away from us, and we break the energetic bond with a magnet. It's fascinating. I am focused on doing Reiki healing attunements. So, we can do that in a chair. Most of my clients get one when they come in. It's phenomenal to especially release, if we have one thing that we're like wanting to release. And I do full Reiki sessions where we book that separately and do 60 minutes of that.
Okay.
So I also teach Qigong, which is a form of moving meditation. And right now I teach on Saturday mornings at St. Mark's Episcopal Church on Old French Road. Okay. And on Tuesday evenings, I have 2 more at Blended Spirits Ranch on Silverthorne Road.
Okay.
All of that's on my website, quantumbalanceerie.com. And I'm also a wedding officiant, which I love. I've been doing that since 2017. I have over 60 weddings that I have officiated since then. So I get to create them and I get to interact with the couples. And the thing that I added in as a service a few years ago is pre and post wedding coaching. So we meet separately with each partner and then together before the wedding. And then we do that again about 6 months to a year out, so that we can work out any kinks, of what's going on in the relationship. I've been married 40 years. There's going to be kinks, I promise you. Mm-hmm. And so I often give what I wish I had.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So I'm glad you clarified exactly what a session is, because I know you have many certifications. You have always excelled in finding ways to grow your own knowledge of growing your business and being able to help people. So that's kind of where I think my confusion was. Like, I know you've done all these things. So you just kind of, you have all those tools for whatever is needed in a session at that time.
Yes. And, if I'm seeing a person for 6 sessions, each session might look differently. Just like you don't give the same massage over and over and over, right?
Right.
You go where what's needed. And I listen deeply to myself. What are they needing today? Maybe they're going to need more encouragement. Maybe they're going to need more hope. Maybe, or maybe they're going to need more energy work today. And we design the session on the fly.
So, question.
Mhm.
Now, I know a lot of your sessions, you were in the Renaissance building for many, many years. I don't know if you're still there. Are you still at the Renaissance?
No, actually, in March, I moved to Thrive Therapy Space. And
Okay. I knew
so,
you had moved there, but I didn't know if it was a full move or if
oh,
it
it's
was
a
half.
full move, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, Thrive Therapy Space is a co-working space, and I love it there. It has just opened up a different dimension of my work because there's community there, which I love community. You know, we can't live in a vacuum, and the people are kind, the space is beautiful, it's clean, it's safe, free parking. It has just been bonus, bonus, bonus for me to go there.
Yeah, you were at the Renaissance for years there. Yeah, that's a good move. There's I can feel the difference in the energy, you
Yes,
know. And I've visited Thrive Therapy Space. I love Penny. Me and Penny went through the Paramount Pursuits program
yes,
together. She's amazing, and I know other therapists that are up there. It's just a really great, lively, down to earth. You know what I
yes.
mean?
Yes,
Very.
absolutely. There's no hoi polloi. There's no, everyone is themselves. Everybody has their own flavor of what they do. So there is another energy worker there, along with myself, Denise Bunner. She does something completely different than what I do. There's
Mhm,
another life coach there, Repak. She does something completely different than what I do. Each of the therapists that are there do their own thing. And
mhm,
I love that because then it provides so many opportunities for people to heal.
mhm. Right, right. I love it. So you're not in the Renaissance. When the pandemic hit, were you able to pivot, as everybody says,
Well,
and
I
were
think
you?
that word
Yeah,
got so overused.
I hate that word. I hate that
I
word.
know now. I
But
was.
mhm,
I I didn't know I could, and
mhm,
I did. And I did successfully.
mhm,
So I took my coaching sessions online. It opened me up. So now I have clients in other states. I have clients it's a much broader opportunity for people to work with me. We can do emotion code very well online. We can do coaching very well online. Can we do distance energy work? Yes. Do I prefer it? No.
right. Mhm,
but but and it's been surprising to me because I have some local clients that still prefer the virtual,
mhm,
and I'm okay with that.
mhm,
It's just been different, and I love that I was able to pivot and figure it out. I had always been one of these coaches that, you know, a lot of life coaches do all their work on the telephone or all their work virtually now. I stood before the pandemic. I'm an in-person kind of person because I want to hold that space. I want to hold that energy for the people. And um, it turned out that it works out okay.
Yeah,
I
isn't that it's beautiful. That it definitely is one of the great things that came from the pandemic was the
Yes,
versatility, and it opens up your doors to so many more people than 814, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep, yep, that's wonderful. Um, I love that. So, what kind of um, what do you have any workshops? Are you doing any educational things? Because you used to do some things like that. You used to
Sure.
do the meditation. I remember on Sundays. Right now, you had mentioned the qigong that you're doing. So, is there anything that you're doing right now, or you have in the works? And where do you see quantum balance going and growing from here?
So I was teaching a lot of classes, and I still have them in my backpack. Um, I took a very serious consideration to COVID, the pandemic, and it wasn't until May that I actually stopped wearing masks in general population, and have had all of the precautions with the vaccines and everything. And then in June, I got sick. I got the COVID and I'm still
This June?
recovering. I did for
Oh,
the first time. And my body
damn
did,
it!
I know, exactly what I thought it might do, which is overreact because
Mhm,
of the past history of autoimmune. And so
mhm,
I'm still recovering from that. I'm still trying to figure out what feels safe for me. But
Okay.
I would love to get back to teaching Speak Club, which was really an empowerment place for women to learn how to own their voice. I was
Mhm.
doing that before the pandemic. I was teaching Infinite Possibilities, which is
Yes.
Mike Dooley's wonderful course of how to get in the driver's seat of our life and create it the way we want it. And also, I am certified to teach mental health first aid, and I would like to get back to doing that. And I was doing that some through NAMI. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So I have a lot of things. Now that I'm also a Reiki master, I also would like to be, start a Reiki 1 class and grow it up through there. I just haven't done it yet because I'm still trying to figure out what feels safe to me
Yeah.
because
Yep.
my body does overreact to these
Mhm.
things.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Yep. I feel you. There's been some things I've been figuring out about myself too, and ever since I quit drinking. So I'm yeah, I'm very sensitive. A lot more sensitive than I thought I would be.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah. Um, let's see here. So what kind of are you accepting new clients right now? Are you
I am. I
okay?
am. And one of the things that, you know, I'm not sure if we talked about it when we were on live or before it happened, but how you and I met was through Missy Monticello,
Yes.
and that's a really fun story in and of itself. Where I was working at an environmental nonprofit at the time, and I was managing. We used to do what were called phone-a-thons. That's when people used to answer their telephones.
Oh
Isn't
yeah.
that the horror? You'd get the cold call and you're like, "Hey, can you give money
Nope.
to our thing?" I mean,
Right,
it's like
right.
it's a nightmare now. It's like, "Oh my gosh, who's calling me?" But Mitzi came in to volunteer to do that, and it was a super snowy night, and it was so funny because I mean, I didn't know her yet, and I was in the kitchen, and we were kind of doing introductions, and she stuck her hand out, and she had a business card, and she's like, "I'm Missy, and I'm a massage therapist." And the first thing I said, funny me, "Oh, I already have a massage therapist. Thank you so
Oh,
much." But I took her card. I know, right? Stop, block.
uh-huh.
I friend
Uh-huh.
zoned her. And it was like 2 months later, I looked at her card and I'm like, I'll give her a try, you know? And it turns out I was her first client in that space on Ninth Street with her. I saw her for an entire year. And then one day when I was on her table, it fell out of my mouth, someday that room down the hall, that's going to be mine. What? I, I didn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at an environmental nonprofit. Why would that room be mine?
Right.
And 9 months later, guess what? That was my room.
Interesting.
So,
Neato.
yeah. So I've had a lot of those ineffables, but I trust them. I trust, you want to call it spirit, you want to call it higher self, do you want to call it the universe, you want to call it God. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's all vocabulary.
Right.
It's all something. I don't know what it is. I don't need to name it. One of the groups of people that I can help are people who have come out of religious institutions that are very hurt. I did that myself. I came out of a church situation where I felt battered and I felt very disenfranchised from God.
Mm-hmm.
And um, it all ended up recognizing that the pain I felt kept me from allowing myself to feel my full spiritual being.
Right.
So I help people work through that pain of, I mean, there's a fancy word for it now, but deconstructing from
Mm-hmm.
Christianity or whatever. I help people through that because there can be a lot of guilt with that, a lot of sadness. You've lost your community. That's one group of people that I help.
Love it. What would you say to now that I call us old heads. So we're officially like we've been doing this for a while, right?
Ah,
And so now we have younger people than us that are maybe starting to hear those little voices. Hey, you can do this.
yeah.
Do this. What type of advice would you give somebody perhaps thinking about going into some type of energy field, but doesn't know how to start?
Yeah. Learn as much as you possibly can by experiencing it yourself. So go to an acupuncturist, go to a massage therapist, go to an energy healer, go to a life coach. You don't have to prescribe to the highest level of whatever they offer. Just go and experience it. Ask around. Is there someone willing to talk to them? I've had wonderful conversations with some beautiful women who want to get into life coaching. It's not a huge commitment to me. I'm not in the place where I'm able to mentor somebody full time, but ask the people who have gone this road before.
Right.
And the other thing is, when you decide to do it, you don't need to do it like anybody else. That's my biggest thing, because for the first 3 or 4 years, I tried to fit my business in a shoebox, because I would go to business networking meetings. I would hear all of the business terms. How are you going to scale up? Who's your perfect client? What are their pains?
You got a niche.
What's their pain point? I'll tell you what. I absolutely will never, ever, ever market to somebody's pain point, because I think that's gross. I will help you with your pain. I am not going to sell myself by using your pain.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why we may have connected, though, during some of those years that we needed to find our ways, right? And, but I will say that I wouldn't change exploring those avenues either, because again, a lot of what life is about is figuring out what you don't want to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Figure out what you do want to do, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. So, explore it all, even if it's kind of, I don't know, even if it's not you, right?
Right.
Just go and see. Yep.
And I really think don't try to be somebody else.
Yep.
Be yourself. Be all of you. And that, when we tell our stories, it gives people the opportunity for them to feel safe to tell theirs.
Yep.
When we're authentically ourselves, then it gives other people that opportunity to be authentically themselves.
Yep. And listen to that voice.
Right? I agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lois, for sticking with me.
It'll be interesting when we look at the replay, and it's like I'm like, where'd she go? It's kind of like you walked away from me at a party, which is an introvert's nightmare. Don't do that. Here I am, an introvert, and all of a sudden it's like,
All right, Lois. I'm going to meet you down in the green room here. We'll chit chat a little bit afterwards, so don't go anywhere, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much
for having me. Take care.
And we'll be putting your information in underneath for everybody to reach out to you. And it's so great to reconnect with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
And thank you, everybody, for coming in today. I apologize for the in and outs of everything there. Our next episode, we're going to have Amy Van Scotter here in Erie. She's somebody I've seen online promoting her slow, mindful yoga that she is doing around town. She's one of the traveling yoga ladies that I've seen, which I love what they're doing there. She also works at SafeNet. So tune in next week, and we'll see you guys then. Have a lovely day.